Hey there friends, it's Nat. And you're probably wondering what me and my divine light beam of light friend are doing here in my yoga gear today in the lovely space where I've been staying since I've been stuck since medical quarantine and lockdown happened. You're probably wondering why. So to give you a little preamble as to what today's blog is all about and a little backstory, I recently, in the spirit of good fun, submitted an imaginary question to an imaginary psychic who was doing an imaginary spiritual panel this week, expert panel. And they just did that in the last couple of days. They just put that up, and bless to Stacey and the experts for your brilliant answers to my questions, because they were brilliant. And the whole thing was brilliant. But I asked this question, right, about essentially, people tell me that I'm not divine feminine enough. And do you think if I put like more sexy yoga photos of myself on Instagram that people will finally get how divine feminine and spiritual I am? And like, I'm really wanting to be Insta famous, but I don't want to lose my spirituality in the process. Help me, expert panel. How? What advice do you have for me? This was my question, right? And thank you to them for their beautiful answer. But I kind of, part of me wanted to respond with a sexy yoga selfie, right? And this I just went to do that this morning and just went on this whole re-journey of, and I talk about this a lot with people when they're getting, whether it was relationships that we've talked about in years past in private practice, or whether it's putting yourself out there, this same thing comes up. And I just wanted to speak to this, whole illusionary thing that kind of happens with Insta fame and with any kind of fame and celebrity PR constructed personalities and even PR constructed speaker personalities, right? Like, I just wanted to speak to a little bit of this today. For me, like in years past, like after I had a relationship that ended with infidelity several years ago, I was cheated on and I came out a bit like traumatized from it. I kind of decided that I was going to go on a bit of a bender with going headlong towards my insecurities, my jealousy, insecurity, all that crap. I'm just like, right, I'm going to go at this like a bull at a gate until I've confronted all this and got over it, right? And as a part of that, actually prior to that, from about 2010, when I was in the alternative community, for a start, I was coming in then. I started to go to a heap of relationship workshops and intro to Tantra workshops. And I kind of made this decision because I was so like, internal, I withdrew inside myself when I went to those things for a start, and I'm like, I feel like I'm like the quietest one in the room and I can't connect to myself, and all my stuff about being able to stay in my body like just and shooting up into my head instead all just blew open, right? And so I kind of made this decision that I was going to keep going to these things until I'd gone from being the quietest, disconnected girl in the room to being the annoying, loud person who just will not shut up. They're so into their bliss and their joy and they're just vocalizing it everywhere. And like, that's kind of, by 2014, there's plenty of people who can speak to this. That's what I did. That's what I managed to become. And bless that journey. I love that journey. I kind of want to bring back part of my private practice where I worked with people on relationships and sexuality around that, because, it's just as relevant. And you would not believe how relevant it is to you getting on stage in front of a group of people. Like, it's all the deeper level of self-esteem stuff. It's all related. But relative to this, right, I had that journey, and then I was sharing that journey with other women and helping them find their groove within it, particularly when they were dealing with sexual illness and dysfunction as well. But then like today, because it's been so long and I've been focused on other aspects of practice and my world, I was just like, I wonder what will happen when I like try and do all these sexy selfies today. What's going to happen? Because I've always had this thing that it's a bit like, when I try to be sexy, all of a sudden I'm like, it's so awkward as opposed to anything remotely sexy. And when I'm not trying, that seems to be when I start to like end up sexy. So you know, I've just given you a heap of what happened in terms of the photos, and I just wanted to really make that point around, you know, Insta Fame, all the amazing imagery, like it just doesn't happen. And even with me, like, you know, because for years past, I have been in situations where I did have, quote unquote, like, you know, more status, and I had content that was going to big audiences, and I just, like, you know, people have always been, when they've seen me and they've seen my videos and they've seen my stuff, they're like, Nat, that's awesome, oh my god, I wish I could do what you do, and there's these beautiful compliments, and at the same time, part of me is a bit like, kind of like, you know, sometimes I can't receive the feedback because I'm like, I didn't feel sexy in that. I didn't feel like I was being amazing in that. I was just like, you know, just doing my thing or going with my flow. But that's precisely why I wanted to speak to the fact that, you know, this stuff just, like, there's so many people that have done the Insta Fame thing or any other thing. I haven't done the Insta Fame thing, by the way. I never have. But there are so many people who've had this same journey of it's not how it looks in these constructed personalities on social media. That's not how it really is. There's all these funny moments, awkward moments, moments where you're like, oh my god, I don't know what the hell, what even is this pose, and all these other things that happen. I think it's really important that we know that people are human in that respect, right? So I kind of wanted to speak to that. I also wanted to speak to the amazing opportunity that we have right now while we're all at home and feeling more deeply into, we're just spending much more time with ourselves right now, which means we're coming much more into our authenticity and our connection with who we really are. And I think there is an absolutely brilliant opportunity when we do all come out of this and back into the world, as it relates to our social media personas, as it relates to our public speaking and our leadership and all of that. I think there is an absolutely brilliant opportunity that exists right now to come back out in a different place, beyond the personas, beyond the fakery and the hype and the not realness of it. When I mention like the PR thing and the public speaking thing, remember once upon a time I also was going to performing arts school and I was an actress, and I know what a performance looks like, and I have this thing that I've always, as I've been exploring the public speaking realm and the professional speaking realm, when I watch a speaking piece, I can really quickly tell the difference between when that person's fully connected to themselves, live in the moment and delivering from them, and when I'm watching a performance, when that's a beautifully constructed, because what happens when you're acting, right? You're connecting to you and your emotion, but you're playing a character and you're animating this perfectly constructed character on stage and bringing life to it, right? So sometimes I watch professional speakers speak and I'm like, bravo, that was as a speaking piece, that was a brilliant performance. That was perfectly constructed. You perfectly brought that character to life, that speaker persona of you, and it was larger than life and it was entertaining. It was brilliant. But at several points I was like, and I've walked away from this going, but who are you? And who are you within all of this? Who is you, the person? Like, and what do I connect with? Because I don't feel like I trust what I'm seeing because that was a performance, right? So, and I think I can't be alone in that, right? That in this era where we're so much better at sensing authenticity, like, there's a beautiful opportunity that lies within this, that we can come out the other side of this way more connected. It's gonna take bravery to do it, right? There are moments within this where it'll be a bit like, I don't know if you saw that episode of Grace and Frankie, where Grace is dating Nick and he comes over with his giant toothbrush and his actual toothbrush, and she's about to give him the breakup speech, but then she does she takes off all her fake eyebrows and her hair extensions, shows him her knee and her walking stick and all this stuff and says, well, you want to see the real me? Here's the real me, baby. Take it or leave it. And then he walks up to her and he grabs her face and he looks her in the eyes and he's like, I'll take it. and it's this beautiful, amazing moment. And in the ideal, most beautiful scenarios, that's what'll happen, right? Like you will be beautiful, real, vulnerable you, and that will happen. Occasionally, I had an experience like this last year, admittedly. You will do the grace piece. You will take off all your shit and you will say, this is who I am with all my shit. Can you love me as I am? And there will be and whole rooms of silence, right? And it feels like in those scenarios, you're like, Jesus Christ, I feel like the only self-respecting thing I could possibly do in this scenario is to leave and never come back because, wow, nobody, wow, holy shit. Pardon my swearing. My point, there may be moments like that every now and then that happen, occasionally. However, this is part of the challenge is of putting ourselves out there, of being more authentic. It's learning how to be resilient in that and not to be rolled as much by those experiences and not to end up going to some big projection-based, highly triggered, reactive, fuck you like scenario afterwards when those things happen, but stay in your lane, stay in your essence, stay with you and stay with what you're doing and keep shining in you and putting yourself out there as the beautiful, amazing and very human, slightly flawed version of you that you are, that another heap of people out there will absolutely adore you for. Yeah? So let's be that. You can still, like, if you feel to do the whole Insta Fame, PR, whatever thing on the other side, like, I'm not, like, go for your life. Whatever is your experience, you will learn a shitload out of it. Lord knows I have. But, you know, I also think we have this beautiful possibility to have this amazing experience on the other side of all this, of showing up and shining in beautiful us, real us. So maybe let's make the most of that, huh? Lots of love. Thank you for tuning in today. Please do feel free to share your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Tell me what your experiences have been of this. And until next time, I hope you have a gorgeous weekend or week and look forward to talking to you soon.